Welcome to the Jungle Discipleship School podcast. My name is David Small, and thanks for being with us. Welcome to the podcast. And if this is your first time joining us, then special welcome to you. And we're happy that you're with us. And for those regulars out there, we can't do it without you. I'm super thankful for you. And I'm coming to you, I want to say live, but I don't think this is live. I mean, I'm alive, but this is not being recorded. Like, you're not listening to it live. So anyways, I'm coming to you from not live, although I am alive, from the Jungle Discipleship School campus, from Burma. And I've snuck away for a few minutes to record a podcast for you guys to get some information out and just update you guys on what's going on here. And the students are all working this afternoon. We're doing some camp work, getting ready for some big building projects. And I snuck up to my podcast recording studio, also known as the solar control unit house, where I've got a bunch of batteries and inverters all humming away here, connected up to the solar panels here on the side of the mountain. But it's great to be back with you guys. And I'm really thankful for those that I got to spend time with over the summer, have different conversations with, for all the different churches that I got to share at. It was really awesome and just an honoring thing to be able to be with. So JDS 2 is underway. We are, today's the 17th of September. And we're halfway through our first week. This week, we're doing Alpha. And for some of you are familiar with the Alpha materials or the Alpha program. And our first week of on campus, we try to get everybody on the same page and thinking on the same kind of lines and using the same terminology. And so we run Alpha to give us a baseline of conversation and understanding and knowledge. And so we're running Alpha this week for our new students, and our second year students are trying to find their rhythm, and I'm trying to find a rhythm alongside them. But it's been interesting to be running two programs at the same time. And it's been cool to see our second year students. We have 15 students that decided to return for a second year. We graduated 23, and that's pretty cool when you have 65% of your class choose to come back for another year, another round of discipleship and taking a bigger role in leadership and different tasks that we have for them. I'll share a bit more about what's going on with JDS and what we're doing and what we're up to in the next little bit here. But I've been thinking, I just wanted to talk about a verse that's been on my mind and on my heart lately. And I shared a little bit with some of the churches that I spoke at this summer. You may have heard me talk about it. And what I've been just chewing on is the giants that we have in our lives. The Israelites, God called the Israelites. I've been reading this devotional, and we just finished coming through the part in the daily readings about, the Moses, raising up Moses, and then the plagues. And the first part that I found just interesting to read over again was the Passover night. And most of you know the story quite well. God says to Moses, okay, I want you to kill a lamb and put markings with blood on the doorposts and the door frame, around the door frame. And when the spirit of death comes out tonight, when it sees the markings, it'll pass over that household. And I just found it really interesting that a few things. One is that if there's an Israelite family that either didn't want to for whatever reason or forgot to mark the posts of their house, they're not going to be just saved because of their bloodline, because of their heritage. But at the same time, I felt, okay, it's interesting for me to think about this, that I I should die. I should have every right to have the spirit of death, or whatever the terminology is in that passage in Exodus, about come and kill me because of the wrong that I've done in my own life. But when that spirit of death comes to look at my life is marked by the blood of the Lamb. And living in the New Testament era, and the New Covenant, we know that Jesus was the Lamb that died for us. And that's that imagery of, okay, my life is covered by the blood, and death passes over me. And there's something interesting about that. And then the story continues. They get led out through the Red Sea. They part the water. Moses parts the waters, and everybody crosses, and then it closes in on the Egyptians who are chasing them. And then God leads them into the wilderness, and they go across the wilderness for a few days, and they send the spies. God says, I've brought you here to the promised land. I'm going to send the spy. And we send in these spies, 2 by 2 by 2. They go in, and the spies come back, and they say, yeah, you know what? That is an amazing land. That's a beautiful spot. There's milk and honey in this land, but there's also giants in this land. And we are not as strong as the giants. We can't beat the giants. We can't go into the promised land. So they decide not to. Joshua and Caleb say, yes, okay, never mind. We can go in there. Our God is with us. And the rest of the Israelites and the groups that went in said, no, we can't face those giants. And we live in this day and age where we celebrate safety first. We celebrate safety and mitigating risks. And I do it in my own life. When we cross the borders, I try to mitigate as many risks as possible. However, I have been thinking about this, that God did not say to the Israelites, oh, good job mitigating risks. Good job not doing something foolish, or not taking an unnecessary risk, or doing something dangerous by going to war against the giants. What God did say was, you don't think I can kill giants? Okay, you are all going to wander in the wilderness for the next 40 years, and you're going to die in the wilderness. Joshua and Caleb, okay, they can go into the promised land. But the rest of you are going to die in the wilderness because you don't think I can kill giants. I've been chewing on this a lot lately, because I've been trying to recruit staff. I've been trying to get people to come and join the Jungle Discipleship School. And I think, like, man, this is such a cool opportunity. This is such an awesome thing we're building here. And there's so many opportunities to serve. There's so many opportunities to help these people. And yet nobody has come. Nobody has joined me in this journey. And I've been frustrated with that nobody has stepped up and said, hey, I'm coming. I'm going to do this. Because everybody has giants in their lives. And so I was originally thinking about this in a bit of a, I don't want to say manipulative or attacking kind of way, but I was trying to challenge people to say, like, hey, God can take care of your giants. But it also got me thinking about it. And I tend to, when I'm going to try to teach something, I want to be living that out myself. And so I started to think about this idea of the giants that we don't think God can conquer in our lives. And what are those giants in my own life? And I get the North American way of living and the North American lifestyle, where we have mortgages and jobs and kids and families and all these different things that are holding us down. Sorry, I'm taking a drink here. And I just think about, okay, I have so many great friends that would love to come onto the mission field, that feel like oh, what an adventure. It would be so awesome. That would be so cool to come there to Burma. But, and then they name the giant. But how can I do it when I just bought a new house and I have this mortgage payment that I have to make now? And yeah, it's a giant mortgage payment that you have to make every month. And in order to do that, you need to work 40 or 50 hours a week. And it's not easy. And, others have kids, young kids. And I can't homeschool my kids. That's a giant of a task to take on. And I can't bring my kids out of the safety and security of North America, which is a total illusion that if you think you're safe and secure in North America, but to a war zone, to the jungle, and it's just this. We just have these giants in our lives, whatever they may be. Oh, I would love to come and do that, but I don't have time. I don't have time to serve God on the mission field. I don't have time to take off 3 weeks of my year to go and help over at the Jungle Discipleship School. And we have these things that we don't think God is big enough to deal with. God, I want to follow you onto the mission field, but I don't think that you're big enough to pay my mortgage. God, I don't think you're big enough to take care of my kids. God, I don't think you're big enough to help me homeschool or to raise money for support. I don't think you're big enough to do those things. And so I'm not going to go into that place that you've called me. And I was originally thinking about this in the sense of staff at the Jungle Discipleship School. However, I'll caveat this by saying that God had called the Israelites into a specific place. This is the land I am giving you. God told Moses, God told Aaron, go and take it. God may not be calling you to the Jungle Discipleship School, so that's fine. I'm not trying to guilt trip you here to come and join as staff. However, it does raise the question, it does raise the point that we need to be in a place, we need to be in a relationship with God. We have to have our hearts tender enough to know, where are you calling me, God? Are you calling me to this place where I am right now? Is this the place you've called me, or is there another place you have for me? And if you have another place for me, God, make it so clear that even in my dumbness, even in my thick skull, I can't deny that you are calling me to that place. And no matter what giants are in the way, I'm going to go and follow you. We cannot let the giants in our lives stop us from following the call that God has put on our hearts. I felt called to Burma over a decade ago, and I originally said, okay, God, I'll give you 1 year. And I came over for a few months of that first year. And at the end, I really felt God was saying to me, no, I want you to stay here indefinitely. I want you to stay here until I call you somewhere else. Okay, God, I'll do that, but I can't fundraise. I suck at this. I have no idea how to do this. I hate asking people for money. And I felt God say to me, okay, good. I'm glad you're at that place where you realize you can't do it. I will do it for you. And that has happened over and over and over again. I had these excuses, these reasons why I couldn't follow God, why I couldn't say, hey, God, I'm going to give you all of my life to go and serve in the place that I feel like you have called me to serve. No excuses. And I think as I prepare to stand on my soapbox and preach at all of you listeners, I have to check my own heart. Oh man, here I am living on the mission field, living my calling. And what are the things in my life that I'm holding back from God that I don't think God is big enough to handle? Healing my body, my energy levels, my wisdom and ability to think and to clearly lead, these things where I try to do it myself instead of saying, God, I trust you to conquer this. There are things that I can't control, militaries at work in my life that I can't control. I have zero control over multiple armed groups. Okay, God, the Israelites, they weren't wrong. They weren't wrong to say, hey, they're bigger than I am. They're tougher than I am. Their army is more powerful than mine. However, God is for me. And there are big things in my life and big things in your life. And some of those things we're not giving over to God. We're not saying, God, I am going to boldly walk into danger. I am boldly going to walk into risk despite my health, despite my age, despite all of these different things going on in my life, despite the circumstance of my life. You are calling me here and I am going to go into danger head on. I'm going to go into risk head on. I have a mentor that I kind of sit under his teaching, and I remember maybe, I don't know what it was, maybe 7 or 8 years ago now, somebody asked him, Morgan, what risks are appropriate for me to take as I enter into the decade of my 30s? And at the time I was in my decade of my 30s, and I thought, oh, interesting question about risk and what risk we should take and how do we know. The guy said, I've got kids now, I've got a wife, I've got a house and a mortgage, I got to have a job, I got to pay my bills. And so what risks should I take? And Morgan's response was, all of them. And it surprised me actually, because I thought, oh, wait, like, shouldn't, we need to be a little bit careful here. And we need to be, we need to think like more like Dave Ramsey and say like, hey, I got to have my rainy day fund and I'm going to trust God, but I'm also going to have my insurance plan. And I'm not saying that isn't trusting God, but I'm just saying his answer was to take every risk. And I think his point was that in our humanity, we really are not going to take every risk in front of us, every risk available, because we're afraid, because we don't trust God that he's going to walk alongside us. And so if we say, okay, I'm going to take every risk that God brings to me, I'm going to be initiated in the ways of a man or a woman. I'm going to have masculine initiation as I take these risks to lead my family, to step out in faith, to lead my church, to lead my community. I've been in the jungle now for about a week and a half, and it's been an entertaining adventure, to say the least. We've had a handful of our students detained by an army, a police group, and we had threats of putting them in jail for 45 days. We've had motorcycles confiscated. We've had supplies confiscated. We've had to negotiate and kind of pay fines to get them back. We had to say goodbye to Jala, one of our dear staff who helped start the Jungle Discipleship School. It was kind of my right hand last year. And as we sent him out to the river, a full day's journey by motorcycle in good weather, all 3 of the motorcycles that were going out there broke down. There was these flash floods and big rains, and the motorcycles got swamped in these rains, and then basically all of them broke down and got stranded. The guys going out that had to, with Jala, had to walk a full day out and then a full day back, 2 days back, and then get somebody to help them go and rescue. They're still out right now as I'm recording this, trying to rescue these motorcycles. And we have 1 case of malaria in camp, and I've got no translator. I've got 30 new students and 15 second-year students, and then a handful of staff and hangar outers, and we're around 50 people living here on campus. And our food bill last week was over $1,000. And I really just thought to myself, like, oh my goodness, how can I sustain this? Is this even possible? And there are these, it's almost daily, once a day, where I have this wave of anxiety that just crashes over me with these lies and these giant thoughts of, oh my goodness, I can't do this. I honestly I can't do this. And then the next day it might be like, I can't afford this. Like there's literally, I don't have enough money. This is so expensive and I don't have enough support. I don't have enough money to buy food for all these amazing students. And then another, I'm trying to run and balance two programs here at the same time with our second years and our first years. And I'm trying to teach the first years in the morning, but I don't really have a translator right now. And so it's kind of a bit of a jumble. And I've got 8 or 9 students that don't speak very good Burmese. And it's a pretty giant problem when they don't understand me. And I get these waves of anxiety, just like, and even the thought of, when we had this issue with the police and they were going to arrest the students and they were going to confiscate motorcycles. I'm so thankful there are people that I was able to send a message. I started this little WhatsApp prayer group. And so if you want to be added to the WhatsApp prayer group for like kind of emergency or urgent prayer requests that I don't have time to write a full email about, you can send me your phone number, your WhatsApp phone number, and I'll add you to that list. But anyways, I'm so thankful there were people that just started praying right away. But I thought, last year I had Zadok and Claire here and they're really awesome. And if nothing else, you have people here that you can vent to. You have people here that you can bounce ideas off of. You have people here that can feel and carry your burdens with you. But when you're here alone, it can be hard and lonely sometimes as a leader, where you have to carry the burden of the students and of the logistics and of the finances all on your own. And then you have these moments of loneliness and isolation, and my back is still in pain. And so then you're dealing with these kind of issues of chronic pain. And it's like, man, this sucks. Like life's hard. There's some giants here that I'm holding on to that I'm not giving over to God. And so every time I like, it's been, almost once a day or once every 2 days where there's either just this, my brain is in a fog because my back hurts and my leg is still numb, or I get this wave of anxiety of like, oh my goodness, I have no idea how many monthly supporters I have right now. And this is not okay. And I don't know how I'm going to pay for food right now. And I get these anxious moments of like, what the heck am I doing here? This is too much. I can't do this by myself. And I just have to give it over to God, because literally I have no other choice other to say, God, I trust you that you can take care of the giants in my life. You have called me to this place. You have led me to this ground and said, I'm giving you this ground to establish the kingdom of God in this place. The giants that are on the ground now, I will take care of. God has said that, and I have to claim it and trust it every day. I've been thinking about, we've got these students here and our second year students that have said, hey, I want to come back. For whatever reason, I want to come back and be a part of the JDS family for another round. And we have 15 of them that are here. We've broken them up into 4 different groups. One of them is called the leader group, and their job for the week is to lead the first years. And it's pretty cool to see them lead, keeping the schedule, keeping the timing, all that kind of stuff, and just sitting in the class. And I want them to sit in the class because there are so many things that they've missed as we went through the first year. Either they were tired that day, they were sick that day, the Holy Spirit hadn't opened their eyes or ears or hearts at that point, and they completely missed what was being taught. And so the leader group will sit with the first year students in the class for the week and go through that material again. The second group is called the youth group. And it's just been a dream of mine, a vision that God gave me last year. Was we live 25 minutes or 30 minutes away from this IDP camp, and there are 3,500 people in this IDP camp. There's a high school, K to 12, that has 600 students at K to 12 or K to 10, sorry, in this IDP camp. And there are all these young people, and there's some young people that have just dropped out of school. And, they said like, okay, I've done grade 4 and that's enough for me. And so there's all these young people around, and I thought, man, what a gift it would be if we could offer a youth group to Donaku, to the IDP camp. And so I don't have the capacity to be a youth pastor, to be a first year teacher, to teach every single class, do all the admin, do all the logistics. And so our senior class is going over once a week, and they're going to lead a youth group, and they're heading over in an hour from now. From the time I put out this podcast, an hour from now, they're heading over to start their very first youth group program. So pray for them. They're nervous. They're afraid of this, and they don't really want to do it, but I'm telling them to. And because I feel like God is leading us in there to serve the young people, to bring, and what an awesome opportunity for our second years to learn how to teach and to lead a youth group. And if anyone out there wants to come and be a youth pastor in Burma, come on, we'll take you. But anyways, it's so cool to see that and so the second year students is one of the groups. They plan what's our activity that we're going to do, what are the worship songs we're going to lead, what's the Bible lesson we're going to teach, and put it all together, make sure everybody knows their jobs, make sure they have all the supplies, and then they go across and they're going to lead the youth program. Our third senior group is supply and logistics, and so they're going to manage all of our supply, ordering the food, which we had to do today. And we're going to try to make soap, which I've never done before, but we're going to make shampoo, we're going to make soap, we're going to make some different kind of products in-house so that we can try to save money on our food bill and our spending. They're going to be responsible for the garden and the farm so that we can try to save some money on food as well in that area. And things like keeping the students supplied with pencils, pens, notebooks, whiteboard markers, all these different things they're going to be responsible for. And then looking forward to the mission, because twice a year we do a mission. What do we need for the mission, and what can we start to purchase and get ready for already in that area? And so they're going to take all the supply and logistics. And the fourth and final senior group of our second year students is a shop and building. And so one of the things we want to do and that we teach is about finance, how to manage finance. And for our second year students, they're going to take it a step further, and they're going to run a small business. And so we've built a little shop. It just opened today, and we sell Coca-Cola, we sell snacks, cookies, we're going to sell betel nut, we're going to sell a bunch of different things at our shop. And our students in that last senior group are going to man the shop. They're going to learn how to cash in, cash out at the beginning and end of every day, how to manage inventory, how to track what is selling, and basically how to run a small business. They're also going to take care of the buildings on campus. There are going to be times where no one's at the shop. So they're going to take care of our buildings. We're going to try to build a beautiful classroom this year, and we're going to start building some of our buildings out of wood, which up until now, we built everything out of bamboo and tarps. So we're going to try to actually build some permanent buildings here using wood and nails and concrete. And it's expensive to build all that stuff, but we're going to try to establish our foot here a little bit more and just to become a little bit more permanent here. And so we're going to use our second year students to try to lead some of these things. And I want to try to empower them and teach them and give them lessons and curriculum along the way. But at the same time, I'm teaching the same curriculum we taught last year all morning to our first year students. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. We have such an awesome group of students. I'm super excited about our first year students. Actually, they're totally switched on. They're excited, and it's super cool to see them here, but it's a lot to juggle. It's a lot to manage. And anyway, so my prayer has been, Jesus, I trust that you will give me the capacity to do this. I trust that you will give me the capacity to face the giants that are in my life. I trust you. I trust you, King. My King is trustworthy. Think about that for a second. Your King is trustworthy. When your King tells you, I am giving you this piece of land, I'm giving you this mission in your life, I am putting this calling on your heart so that when you wake up in the middle of the night, you're thinking about it. When you're walking out on your own, it comes to your mind. It comes to your mind in the most random times and places that you will know that this is the calling that I'm putting on your life. I'm giving you this calling, and there are going to be big giants that are tougher than you in that land on purpose, so that you can trust me that I will take care of them. You need to take the step into the promised land, into your calling, and trust me that I will slay giants. In just a few minutes, I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to head with our senior group over the mountain to the IDP camp. And some of you heard this story about Daousé. Daousé is a young man. He's 13 years old. And last year we were on one of our missions, and we were passing through this little town, and we spent the night. It was like a horrible place. It was literally like something out of the Pirates of the Caribbean. This was one of the worst nights I've ever spent in Burma. This little town was so horrible. And anyways, that's a whole nother story. But I met this boy, and his grandfather came to me, and his grandfather said, this is my grandson. He's 13 years old. And I heard you speaking to him and joking with him. You can speak the same dialect that he speaks. And Daousé has no brothers, no sisters, no aunts, no uncles. His mom and dad were both killed in the war by the Burma army. He's all alone. I've been raising him. I'm getting too old to take care of him. Will you adopt him? Now, nobody has ever just come up to me with their child and said, will you adopt my child? Like that has never happened to me before. And I was a little caught off guard, and my initial reaction was like, whoa, this is a giant that I can't conquer. I cannot have a child. I have 50 children here at the Jungle Discipleship School. Last year we joked that this is a bit like an orphanage, and in some ways it's not a joke, but in other ways it is. And not to make light of their family situations, but I just said, I don't think I can adopt Daousé. He's a great kid, but like, this is just outside of my capacity. And the grandfather said, can you help him? I don't want him to stay in this town anymore. He needs to continue his education. He's just going to get into trouble if he stays here. And Daousé is just this nice, cute little 13-year-old boy, and just very polite and friendly. And I said, well, okay, there's this high school in this IDP camp next to our campus. And the best I can do is ask the high school leader if I can get him into the boarding house there. They have this boarding house for people going to the high school. And I can probably get him. I can probably arrange. We have a good relationship with them. I can get him in there. And then on weekends and holidays and school breaks, he can come and stay with us at the Jungle Discipleship School, and we'll all communally take care of him. And the grandfather said, okay, that's great. Can I sign this document? Can I sign this letter making you his guardian? And I thought, okay, I guess we can do that. It's like a nicer way to say adopting him, but I'm not really quite sure the differences here. But he wrote this letter. He said, okay, you're his guardian. You can make decisions about his school and blah, blah, blah. And so Dause came with us, and he spent a month or two with us on the Jungle Discipleship School last spring before the high school started up again. And he came alive. He was so happy here. He had suddenly 20 aunts and uncles that were taking this guy under his wing, and he would do PT with us in the morning, and he'd go for runs with me, and he would come and chat with me every day. And just a really beautiful young kid. And then the school opened up, and he was nervous. He didn't really want to leave us, but he knew, okay, this is the best thing. He moved into the boarding house, and I would chat with him on weekends when he would get the chance. And when I was in Canada, he would get his phone once a week, and we'd send some messages back and forth. And he's so happy. I ran into him the other day at the boarding house, and he just ran over to me in front of all of his classmates. He ran over to me, gave me this big hug, and was so happy to see me. And tonight we're going over to start a youth group at the boarding house where he is. And we get to start to impact the lives of these young people, not just Dause, but all of his friends. And we get to start to point these young people's hearts in a direction that is good and true and right and pure and honest and meaningful. And we're trying to give them purpose. There are legitimate giants we all face. And we have a God that is bigger than giants. We have a God that slays giants. Just think about it for a minute. Think about the giants in your own life. I have so many of them as I think about, even just how to buy food next week. And I have to keep falling. I have put myself in a position where I have no other choice but to fall back into the arms of my Father and say, Father, I trust you. Jesus, I trust you that you are a giant killer. Maybe there's no coincidence that my name is David, named after the one who takes down Goliath. Thanks for being with us.